Oh, very good, very good. I wasn't. I thought it would be small. This is pretty big. Wow, wow. Hey, too tight. Boring.
有恁的行到台湾会馆就旺起来啦，嘿，这是咱永远的工作哦，大家拢欢迎大家来。我小可简单介绍一下吼，过来吼，这个头前这两间的壁要拆掉，要做舞台，所以后摆恁若要安怎舞，拢会使来遮舞。迄边的迄个这两个做舞台了，迄个上边啊迄个门，要甩迄边去，所以迄边壁吼，顶悬要下一个52寸的电视，要放到台湾同步差3秒钟的100几台的电视，所以恁随时来遐，阮遐有咖啡、有茶、有沙发，恁会使来遐看台湾的口音。嘿，啊若想袂开，唔好甲阮的电视弄破了吼。内底咱拢总有10几间教室吼，这是咱的 office 吼，这间会馆的 master 的迄个 designer 就是咱会馆的理事李信宏，恁来大动甲感谢阿母，这间会馆我过去已经2、2啦，嘿，所以真感谢李信宏，伊安尼用足侪所有的精神来甲这个。会馆，恁阁期待下一次8月要 grand opening 的时阵，大大的不同。今仔日正经是咱乡亲第一摆来的，足兴奋。为什么咱今仔日要来嘛？就欢喜伫遮尔短张 A 道的 notice， 有遮侪好朋友就来关心。这是咱台湾人家己伫好莱坞拍片的第一出。这是咱的第2代，一个刁教授吼，咱台湾来的教授，伫 Kansas 的教授，伊的后生是美国生哦，毋过伊捌伫迄落白宫，古早的迄落克林顿做总统的时阵，过来老布希的时阵，伫白宫做要捌真济吼，真有名的人，才会想要拍即出《Formosa Betrayed》，这是一个美国的迄落作家写的吼，未出卖台湾的故事。这嘛是阮20-30年来阮的 dream， 一直希望讲有人来甲咱拍一出关于台湾的电影。即嘛终于拍了，伊讲昨日才甲这对外要公告即出电影的迄落叫啥？真短的迄叫做啥
？Trailer。
短片哦，要公告的迄个短片，昨日拄啊创好，即嘛要先放互恁看。咱第一先来感谢即个第2代青年哦，Willy Tiao。Willy Tiao，恁妈妈叫啥物名？
蔡英。
有mother呢？哦，蔡英英呀。我想讲我亲家亲母呢。OK，anyway， 咱来感谢伊，遮尔有台湾心吼，会使为台湾拍即出电影，咱期待即出电影真紧，互全世界知影，世界不公不义吼。OK， 感谢伊为咱的付出吼，来，咱来开始。
Because of his work.
Apparently, he was a very outspoken critic of the current government in Taiwan.
This is what they're teaching these days? Not your run-of-the-mill course study.
They're in Taipei.
We are being allowed one emissary to observe and possibly assist in their investigation.
Yes, sir.
Agent Kelly, Susan Kane, I'm the American liaison here.
Welcome to the Republic of China, Agent Kelly.
We're outsiders here. They do things differently, and they're not going to let us on the inside. Don't use your phone. They're listening.
Get 30 guys between him and the door in the shop.
There's Xiao.
Am I supposed to assist if they're killing the suspects?
The suspects are no longer your suspects.
Tell me, there's something bigger's going on here.
Killed his family. His daughter was in a terror.
Not our call.
I don't think you understand exactly what's going on here.
The Taiwanese government had rendered.
What did you just tell me?
Jake! Jake! You start telling me what is going on right now, or I am not going to be able to protect you.
The Chinese say we are their brothers. But if we are brothers, why do they treat us like this?
To understand about the Taiwan situation. And my parents, my father, Diao Minghua, was a professor at Kansas State University, and he was on the Omiatua, the blacklist. And so when I was growing up, we were, my father insisted we call ourselves Taiwanese, not Chinese. And of course that got us into trouble. My parents were sent threatening letters that we were on the Omiatua, when we went back to Taiwan we were followed. And of course, that's not so bad considering what happened to some other people. As we know that there were others who were arrested and tortured, and obviously in certain cases there were murders, And I knew that there was a story here that needed to be told to a bigger audience. And so, I had a background in politics. I worked in Washington, D.C. for almost on and off for 10 years. And I worked for FAPA, I worked for Congress, and I worked for the Clinton administration and then the Bush administration, usually on some type of Taiwan-related issue. But I realized, over time, I got very frustrated because I feel like, Taiwanese people, we've given so much money to the politicians over the years, and I don't feel they've done much for us. I feel like over the time, in fact, in many ways, it's gone backwards. It's not gone forwards, what we would like to see when it comes to U.S.-Taiwan relations. And I thought, what's the best way to do this, to get Americans to be on our side, to understand the suffering of the Taiwanese people and their struggle for democracy? What would that take? And I thought, the best way to do this is through movies, because everybody watches movies. It doesn't matter who you are, young, old, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, and I thought this is really the best way to get the word out about Taiwan. But I wanted to make it a story that would be for an American audience, for people, so they could understand our struggle. So with that in mind, I started to research, some of these high-profile cases like Professor Chen Wen-chen and the Jiangnan case, and then Lin Yixiong and the Willy Tiao, and I started to research all the major events of the Baisekongbu, the White Terror period, and I began to create this story, and the story I wrote was about an American FBI detective who's investigating the murder of a Taiwanese professor at a small Midwestern school. It turns out this professor is being spied upon by his own students, and those students are being hired by the government of Taiwan. And so through a series of events, he chases the killers to Taiwan. He finds out that the killers are Chinese mafia hired by the government to kill political dissidents in the United States, that it goes to the top of the government in Taiwan, and that the US government knows about this, but doesn't want to do anything because of the US-Taiwan-China relationship. Okay. Now, we all know, almost everybody in this room knows that what I just said is true, right? It's real events. But the story itself was fictional. I didn't want to specifically tell Chen Wen-chen's story. I didn't want to specifically tell Jiangnan's story. I thought that's a documentary, and I didn't want to make a documentary. I wanted to make a movie, a feature. And so all the characters were made up, but they were all inspired by the actual events. And so all the characters are fictional. Also, truthfully, it costs a lot less because if you try to get someone's real rights, you have to pay for the rights and everything. This way, by making it fictional, we could make it and tell the story the way we want to tell it. Now, I knew that in order to get this done, I needed to hire Hollywood professionals. Hollywood writers, Hollywood directors, Hollywood producers to help me put this together. And when I started to talk about this in Hollywood, people were very interested because it's a story they did not know. You know, they were very interested. But of course, like everything, movies take money. Movies take money to make. And so about 3.5 years ago, at the end of 2005, beginning of 2006, I formed a company called Formosa Films so that we could start to legally raise the money and make this movie, Formosa Betrayed. And so at first, you know, the first place I went to was FAPA because I used to work for them. I was an intern. In 1993, my job was to lobby the U.S. Congress to support a resolution to get them to support Taiwan's membership in the UN. Okay, this is 93, so Lee Teng-hui is still president. We're just coming out of the Baise Kongbu, and it's the first time that Taiwan has ever tried to get congressional support for it. And I learned how to basically pitch to a non-Taiwanese audience in 5 minutes or less, because that's all you have, 5 minutes, or sometimes you have 3 minutes. You know, you have very little time to explain to them all Taiwan, that whole history, you know. And so I went back to FAPA and I told them what I was planning to do. And they invited me to speak at their annual board meeting. And back then, the investment was only $5,000 minimum. And so I went, and my first fundraiser, I raised $50,000. I thought, oh, bye-bye. You know, that's a $50,000, a lot of money. So, and then all their chapter presidents began to invite me throughout the country. First, Manlin Li Xietu up in Portland, Oregon, invited me to speak in Oregon, Portland, Seattle, Vancouver. Then Sheldon Lee, Li Shitun in Chicago, invited me to Chicago. And then it was Dallas and Kansas City and DC and New York and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then over time, over about 9 months, I raised $250,000. And that was the money we used to hire the first director, the first writers, all those people to start to put together the movie. Then we knew that the way I had structured the company, I had to raise a minimum of $5 million to begin production. Okay? Now, $5 million might seem like a lot, and it is. It's a lot of money, okay? But in Hollywood, $5 million is like peanuts. It's like the average movie in Hollywood costs $75 million. Okay? So our movie is considered very small in comparison to a big Hollywood movie. But the one thing I realized was that if you reach that $5 million in Hollywood, then they start to take you seriously. Because then you do have enough money to hire a big star. You know, and that's really how Hollywood works, is through the stars and the actors, and that's really what brings the table. That's all the time people kept on saying, well, why don't you get Richard Gere? Why don't you get, you know, Sean Connery? They support Taiwan. Why don't you? I said, well, Richard Gere's a $15 million actor. Even if I raise $5 million, that's only 1/3 of his salary, and then I don't have a movie. You know, so I said we gotta think about this differently. You know, we have to think about it in terms of creating the story first and getting Hollywood to take us seriously. You know, because everybody in Hollywood has a movie that they want to make, right? But there's only very few that actually raise the money to make it. So basically, with that first $250,000, I then went out and started to raise bigger money at $25,000, $50,000, $100,000, and I'm very, very proud and honored to say that the Bay Area is the single largest area that raised money for this film. About 1/3 of the money came from this area. So really, really, and I give tremendous credit to everybody in this room that really helped. I mean, all those people that I mentioned, Huang Mei-Sing, Stanley Sun, Gina Mao, Kosu Che, all these people and many, many more helped to bring together, you know, and there was a friend of my father's, Lin Dianmo, Tim Lim, right? He said to me once, because we eventually raised over $5 million. We've now actually raised $7 million. But when we hit the $5 million month, which took 9 months actually, it's the same amount of time it took me to raise $250,000. We raised $5 million in 9 months. And I remember Diemo telling me once, he's like, it's a minor miracle that we were able to raise $5 million. Because it really is a lot of money, as we all know. You know, that's a tremendous amount of money, particularly because nothing was done, right? We weren't selling, I didn't have a finished movie, and I didn't have a script I was showing everybody. I didn't have a big movie star attached yet. It was just the idea of it. The idea was what sold it, and people wanted this to be done so much. And every time we ran into problems, every time after $1 million it stopped, and then I thought, oh no, it's going to stop. But then, you know, somebody would push, and then, you know, we get $2 million, $3 million, and then it would stop. And then I thought, oh no. And then, you know, but every time we had a problem, something always came. And I feel, you know, I'll be honest, I'm not Christian, my parents raised me Buddhist, but I feel like we were blessed to make this movie, because it really was a kind of, you know, it's not explainable, you know, unless you can say that God really helped, you know, because I really believe that on a certain level that's true, you know, because I can't say that it makes any earthly sense why we raised that much money, you know, without any proof, you know, of anything, any proof of concept, but we knew, we believed that this would happen, and it did. And then once we raised that money, then we began making the movie. We, starting in a year ago, we started to prepare, and we started shooting, we started preparing in Chicago to shoot the American portion of the movie. And then, simultaneously, we began to prepare to shoot in Thailand, in Bangkok, Thailand. Now, this has been, of course, one of the most controversial aspects of shooting this movie. Because a lot of people ask me, you're making a movie on Taiwan. Why are you shooting in Thailand? You know, if anything, all the time people confuse Taiwanese and Thai. You know, you say you're Taiwanese, they say, oh, I love Thai food. You know, I mean, it happens all the time, right? And I think that, you know, we of course, we looked at Taiwan. Of course, we went to Taiwan first, and we went to Bangkok simultaneously. But we decided on Thailand for 3 reasons. First, Taiwan's film industry right now is not so good. In fact, we would have been the largest film that was shooting on the island, on Taiwan. And the problem with that is that we would have had to ship our equipment from Hong Kong or Sydney, Australia, just to get the cameras and the lights that we need to shoot the movie. That would have doubled our cost, okay? And like I said, we're still a low-budget movie in comparison to Hollywood. We didn't have that much money. So that was a big factor, it was twice as expensive. The second thing, as I'm sure you all know, Taiwan does not look like 1983 anymore. Taiwan's developed tremendously since 1983. And we actually found places in Bangkok that we thought more looked like Taiwan 1983 than Taiwan does now. You know, and it was easier for us to recreate that. I'll give you a good example. The first scene in the movie takes place in Chiang Kai-shek Airport, which we all know, that, you know, they changed the name, everything's changed. Although that old terminal is there, you know, for us to recreate an airport in Taiwan would have been very, very expensive. In Thailand, they just built a new airport. So the old international airport is still there, and it's empty. Okay, let me tell you you know how much money we saved by doing that? We shot in that airport for 3 days, okay? Completely empty international airport built in the 1960s, okay? 1950s or 1960s. It's just like the old Chiang Kai-shek airport, and we could design it however we wanted. You know, I can't tell you how much money that is to save, to do stuff like that. And, you know, so things like that make a big difference. So that was the second reason. And then, of course, the third reason, which is the reason I think everybody understands is we started in April at 2008 and we ended in June. That means our shooting fell right in the middle of the transition from 民进党 to 国民党. Okay? So the last thing I wanted was any problems, any political problems, any type of problems in Taiwan. Because we didn't have the insurance to say, okay, if something goes wrong, like an insurance company will cover it. No, we didn't have that. What I had was $5.5 million, and and that was it. And my investors invested, they didn't want anything to happen. So for all those reasons, we decided to shoot in Thailand. Now, what did we do to how could we create? The biggest problem for us actually was the signs, because all the signs are in Thai over there. So we shot in the Chinatown and we shot in areas, and we had signs, like all Chinese signs all the time, And then there were actually a number of Taiwanese in Thailand who came out to be a part of the screening. And actually, we have, even in Chicago, we brought out some Taiwanese, including our Huang Mei Sing, who came out and led a protest. So I always call her a movie star now. So the actual shooting only took place over a 2-month period between April and June. And that's the way a movie goes. You spend all this time preparing, and then you shoot, and then it's over. And then the rest of the time, since then, we had been editing, putting the music together, putting the special effects, putting the sound design, and that took some time, of course. And so we actually only finished the movie about 6 weeks ago. And just in time, for a special premiere. We wanted, of course, to share the movie with our cast, our actors, our crew, and of course our investors. We wanted them to see what they had put their money into. So on 228, our art bar down in Los Angeles, we had a screening, the first public screening of Formosa Betrayed. And I think everybody who came, I hope you all had a very good time. It was like a wedding. It was like, we had an investor dinner the night before, we had the screening and an after party, and then we had a breakfast the morning afterwards. We had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people fly in from all over the world. We had people flying from Taiwan, from New York, you name it. Everybody came. People came. Toronto, like everybody came because this was like almost like a family. We had created like a real family of people, and it was great to watch. One of the actors, the guy Tai Ma, he was the guy. He plays a Kuomintang KMT representative. He's the one who says "Welcome to the Republic of China." He's a very famous Chinese American actor. He told me he's been in Hollywood for 30 years. He said never in his entire time in Hollywood had he seen so many Asian Americans at a movie premiere. It's the first time. So really, like we really created history with this movie in Hollywood, because it's the first time that any time this many Asians have played such a big role in creating a movie. Most of the time, it's Hollywood itself that creates the movie about something like 7 Years in Tibet or Kundun or something like that. Or oftentimes Hollywood is the one who creates it, but almost never does an outside group come in and make a movie through the Hollywood system. And we're really one of the first. And that's a very special story. And it's one that as we're now that we are done and we're now moving forward, we're in the process now of, because obviously the first question is, a lot of people were like, okay, the movie's done, when can I see it? When can I? Like, there's a kind of movie thing. Unfortunately, it's not that quick. The thing about it is that once you finish, there's a whole nother process called distribution, okay? And the way I liken it is that it's a little bit like real estate, okay? So imagine that your film is a house, okay? And how do you sell your own house? Well, you can either sell it yourself, which if you're not a real estate agent, might be difficult because you don't know the market. Or you can hire a broker to sell it for you. And that broker takes a percentage, but they know the market. So that's what we're doing. We are hiring, and in film you have to hire two types of brokers. One is for US, for the United States, and one is for international. Okay, so we're in the process. We have now settled on a domestic, what's called a producer's representative. And so they are focusing on the domestic distribution. And then they're helping us find an international sales agent, and that's what they call the international sales brokers. So we're in the process of hiring those brokers, and we're now creating a strategy to get the movie out. So one of the ways that we're doing that is we're applying to film festivals. Okay, now applying to film festivals is a little bit like applying to college. Okay, there's like the Ivy Leagues, and then there's a second level, and then there's a third level, and etc., etc. Okay, so we are applying basically to the Ivy Leagues, the first tier, the second tier, and the third tier. We're applying to about 40 or 50 film festivals. Okay, so that we can start to get the publicity out about the movie. And then at the same time, we're also working with these brokers to go directly to the distributors and talk to them about what type of release. Now, this is the thing that most people don't realize, particularly about independent films, which we are. We are independent film, and what does that mean? It means that we did this outside of the Hollywood system. We are not a studio movie. Paramount did not make this movie. 20th Century Fox did not make this movie. We made this movie, Formosa Films. So that means we have to sell it. We have to sell those rights. Now, just because you make a movie doesn't mean your movie's going to be in the movie theater. Okay? That's called a theatrical release. Being able to be seen in the movie theater. Okay? Now, we believe very strongly that this movie deserves what's called a theatrical release, meaning that it goes into movie theaters. But we are not guaranteed that. Okay, there's no guarantee that we will get into movie theaters. Okay, there is one way though that we can guarantee that, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here today. The one thing that all the distributors and the brokers and everybody who works in Hollywood tells us is that if Formosa Films was able to bring some marketing or advertising money with them, then with the movie, then we can get a theatrical release. Okay? Now, how much are we talking about? Well, actually, I'm capped because we've raised almost $7 million at this point. Okay? The company is only legally allowed to raise $8 million total. Okay? So basically, we have $1 million that we can raise. Okay? And all the brokers tell me, if you can bring $1 million to the table, then we can get you a theatrical release. Okay? So I have been going around the country. I was just in New York. I'm meeting with some investors. I was just in in San Francisco meeting with some investors, and I'm starting to develop all these contacts, to raise this last $1 million. And it's, what's interesting about it now, it's obviously very different than before, right? Before, when we were raising money, it was like I said, there was no movie, right? We just had an idea. It's very different now. Movie's done. Movie is done. Okay? And let me tell you a little bit about the reaction to the movie, because I think, especially if you're Taiwanese and you watch this movie, it's your story, it's your own personal story. But once again, this movie was not made for you in the sense that you know this story. We were making this movie for other people, for the Americans, okay? And let me tell you a little bit about their reaction so far, okay? Now, like I said, we're in the process of negotiating with these brokers, okay? These brokers, these film people, they watch hundreds and hundreds of movies every year, obviously, because people try to get them to represent their movies, okay? On every broker, every representative we have shown the movie to has asked if they could represent the movie. everyone. What does that mean? Okay, because these people reject movies all the time. Okay, why are they so interested? Well, obviously these people see, well, frankly, they see one thing, they see money. And obviously they believe that this movie can make money. This movie can sell. Okay? Otherwise, why would they get involved? Why would they spend the time, the energy, the money to get the movie out? They believe this movie can make money. That's why. And why do they believe that? They watch it, and I think they see a few things. They say, okay, you know, well, the first thing they see, they always look at the actors. Who's in it? Okay? And we got some great actors. The lead, James Van Der Beek, he is, I mean, you may not know who he is, but your kids know who he is. He was on a television show called Dawson's Creek that everybody from 18 to 35 knows that television show. It was the show we all grew up on. And he was Dawson. He was the lead, okay? And it's been a while since James has done a big movie like this, okay? So this is a bit his comeback, okay? And so I think all those people are saying, hey, that's potential sale, okay? That's a big, and the other actors we got are all considered very good, strong actors. The one thing we all hear all the time, performances are excellent. Everybody says that. The acting in the movie across the board is very, very, very good. Okay? So that's the one thing they all tell us. The second thing they tell us is that the movie doesn't look like a $5 million movie. Almost everybody, they ask our budget, you know, and we say, well, how much do you think we spent? They say, I don't know, 25, 30 million? Like, it always blows my mind whenever someone says 25, 30. That means they think we spent 5 times our budget, 6 times our budget. Okay, these are film professionals. Okay, these are people who know how much, they look at a movie and they can tell how much you spent. Okay, so that to me says, well, we've made a very high quality movie. We've made a movie that they believe it looks much bigger than it is. Okay. They also look at subject matter and the story and how it's told. And they all feel that this is a story that must be told, that should be told, that will be told, with or without them. And I mean, like I said, these are Americans who are saying this, not Taiwanese people. These are not people who have a stake in what's going on in Taiwan. They have a stake in making money, okay? But they believe that these types of movies, as we talked about, Schindler's List, Hotel Rwanda, Munich, Last King of Scotland, you know, you go down the list, Killing Fields. All these movies have changed American and worldwide consciousness towards a particular subject. Okay? I remember when Hotel Rwanda came out, about, when did Hotel Rwanda come out? Like 4 or 5 years ago? When that movie came out, former President Clinton made a statement. In his statement, he said, the biggest mistake of my presidency was not going into Rwanda. Okay? Why did he say that? It's only because that movie made everybody think, why didn't we do something? Why didn't we do something? You know? And that's what a movie like this can do. Because the last thing people see in this movie, we have 2 cards that show up at the end of the movie. Okay? One says, only 23 countries recognize Taiwan as an independent country. And the last line of the movie says, the United States is not one of them. Now, what does that do? James Van Der Beek, the lead, he came to me, he had not seen the movie until 2/28. And he came up to me, he said, he started to cry when he saw that. When he saw it, he's like, I don't even know what to think. He's like, it makes me so angry, you know? And like I said, and he's going to be the person that all the newspapers and magazines and television shows and everybody is going to go to. James, what do you think about this? You know? And so people like him, I mean, he is the movie. his perspective, that's why I wrote it for the white guy. I wrote the white guy as the lead because it's really his journey. He knows nothing about Taiwan at the beginning of this movie. And that was true in real life too. He knew nothing about Taiwan at all. Okay? And I remember on the first day of set, I'll never forget this story. On the first day, we're shooting in Chicago. I'm in his trailer explaining to him Taiwan history in 5 minutes. I get a call from the director, okay? We have a problem. What's going on? Huan Mei Sing is yelling, down with the KMT! Down with the KMT!
Don't be sad!
I was like, oh no, 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 no. I actually, in the movie, we never actually used the words KMT, Kuomintang, or nationals. And I did that on purpose. Because I didn't want, you know, because we write a fine line, obviously. When you make a movie like this, certain people are going to call you propaganda, no matter what, okay? But if we can say to them, hey, there's nothing propaganda in this movie. This is a movie about what really happened, you know? All we use is Chinese and Taiwanese. That's the only way we define, okay? I said, if people want to learn more, they can go look it up themselves, which they should, and they do after they watch this movie, okay? But I feel very strongly that, you know, people go to the movies not for propaganda. People go to the movies to be entertained, first and foremost. Okay, you go to the movies to eat popcorn, drink soda, and hold your girlfriend's hand like that. That's why you go to the movies. Okay, and first and foremost, it has to be entertaining. Okay, and I wanted to make it very clear. Although we are very much making a political statement, of course. Okay, but I also wanted the audience to think for themselves. You know, and anybody who watches this movie, I guarantee you, they think. Okay, this is not the type of movie you can sit back and just, you know, eat your popcorn. No, you have to be watching this movie. Because we don't tell this movie in sequence. It's not in order, the timeline. We skip time. We you know, you have to be very, very focused. And we did that on purpose. Okay, we did that on purpose because we want people to think. We want them to be engaged. Okay, now I admit, that means that some people may not like this movie because some people don't like to think in movies. They just want to go and do whatever. But to be honest with you, that's okay for me. You can't make a movie that pleases everybody. It's just not possible. You know, I want to hit those people who are thinking, who want to see this type of movie. Because frankly, those are the people who make a difference. The people who are thinking, the thinking audience, is the one who goes out and makes changes in society. Okay? So I really feel very strongly that the way we made this movie on every level correlates to or makes it so that the audience is an active participant in the movie. Okay? So when I say, you know, this last part of the raise, this last $1 million, we're in a very different place than we were even just a few months ago, you know, because the movie is done. And rather than you just listening to me and believing me, I'm going to let you watch the other people involved talk about this. We're going to show you this thing called the making of. And the making of Formosa Betrayed is about the making of Formosa Betrayed. And you will, obviously you'll hear a lot of me, but you will also hear a lot the director and the other actors and all the people who were involved and why they came and worked for almost nothing. Because, trust me, nobody got rich off this movie. Okay? Nobody got rich off this movie. James told me he's never been paid less for a single movie than he did for this one. Okay? All the actors said that to me. You know, and you have to ask yourself why. Why would you take less money, you know, to do this movie than to do whatever, you know, Rocky or Rambo or whatever it is that you do, you know? Why? And it's all that everybody says the same, and you'll hear them. You know, it's the story. It's the story. They believed in the story, you know. And like I said, I'm gonna let you listen to them talk about it. So can we? Yeah, the making.
come on. You have no authority here. This is Taiwan.
Formosa Betrayed is set in the early 80s, and it's basically the story of the murder of a Taiwanese American professor.
Would be what? Yes.
And it turns out that this professor was being spied upon by his own students, and those students were being hired by the government of Taiwan at the time. Through a series of events, an American FBI agent ends up going to Taiwan to chase the killers. He finds out the killers are actually Chinese mafia, hired by the government to kill political dissidents in the United States.
This was found here at the crime scene. These cigarettes are unavailable for purchase here in the States. I thought that the evidence suggested something somewhat outside my jurisdiction. In this case, where you have a complicated story that's unfamiliar to American audiences, they've made the hero a wide-eyed American, so he can take you through the story.
Don't use your phone. They're listening.
Who's listening? You really see the whole journey through the eyes of James Vanderbeek.
Get out.
You don't like girls?
Out on my horse. Come on. Get out.
His quest is to find the truth and to bring justice to these people. And he finds out that there's this whole layer and a whole level of things that goes way, way beyond what he's ever expected or ever understood.
Government here is highly dependent on us.
No, the government here, and ours I might add, are only concerned with making sure this island doesn't become subject to a communist takeover. And that's it.
Oh, come on. I don't buy for 1 second that you believe that. You're not stupid and you're not naive.
I love the script. I thought it was a terrific story, and it certainly needed to be told.
Yeah, be true to yourself, huh? Do the right thing.
Only you know what that is.
I think there's a tremendous sense of responsibility. Not so much for us, but for them, the producers, the people who have put the money up to make this movie, want this movie to be significant.
As a filmmaker, you're often getting projects that don't have any kind of world perspective. So when you do get something that has a larger view, it's actually quite a treat because you have the ability to affect people.
What's 228?
February 28, 1947. Chiang Kai-shek's army killed 20,000 Taiwanese in 1 week. It's illegal to talk about. What I say? Independence.
The scene that we were inspired by was an event in Kaohsiung, and we had about 800 extras, almost all from the Bangkok area, but also a great number of Taiwanese people that had come out in order to be extras in the scene. And it was quite an incredible experience because in the scene, all 800 people are shouting independence in Taiwanese. And to hear 800 people shouting something in unison is quite moving for me. To have a group of people all be fighting for the same thing is an incredible thing, whether you're documenting it for a film or whether you're reporting news.
What I guess I would hope people would take away from the movie, it sort of doesn't matter who we are or where we live, this basic yearning in all of us, I think, is simply be able to be free, which is to say, to be heard, to be able to speak, and to not be punished for it. I think we struggle with it in this country too, but it's obviously a huge struggle in a place like Taiwan.
All right, gentlemen, shall we?
I'm sorry you had to see that. Communist spy. You can imagine all the problems we have here.
I always say that the movie is really about two themes. One is the theme of identity, and the second is the theme of justice, which of course in movie terms means lack of identity and injustice, which are kind of themes I think that are very universal.
What's an American citizen? His widow is an American citizen.
Do you have proof that Wynn was assassinated by the Taiwanese government? Because this is still the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and we deal in proof. And if you're going to create an international incident, you damn well better have something more than just your word to go on.
You know, there's a little history in here. And the human relationships in it are really well written. And then they're going to have the exotic Far East.
Our Jake goes off to Taiwan, and he is befriended by Ming.
Don't
Ming is, a person who is struggling for, his country's identity and independence and working from the inside. That's the relation. The emotion is what people are going to connect to, because that's really what this is about.
The Chinese say, we are their brothers. But if we are brothers, why do they treat us like this?
It's important to me that this movie goes out to the widest audience possible, that people go see this movie because they're fascinated by this subject matter, by this part of the world, but they want to see a good story. They want to be entertained, watching James Van Der Beek run around in Taipei.
I think everybody on the cast and crew has dedicated way above and beyond the call of duty in terms of what's usually required for a film, because people have responded so passionately to the material and are big believers in what the message in the film has to say.
It's not just, it's a popcorn movie, of course. It's also a movie that I think will really make people ask a lot of questions. And that's I think, the best movie making is, right? The best movie making are those movies that really make you think afterwards, that sit with you for days, weeks, months afterwards. And I really hope that that's the type of movie we're making.
Let me talk a little bit about what's been happening recently. Obviously, people are starting to hear about the movie, and I've been invited in the last few weeks. Just a few weeks ago, I was at Duke, at UNC, at University of North Carolina. Last week, I was at Yale. Yes, 2 days ago, I was at USC, and all these college students are hearing about the movie. And I've never, in my entire life, seen the second generation so excited about something like this. It's a miracle. It really is. It's like they're literally like they're coming to us and they're saying, we want to have a screening at UCLA, at Yale, at Princeton, at Harvard, and we want people to watch this movie. And it's really incredible. And I'm so excited about that, because it's like, it's really what we did this for. We did this to tell people about our story, and it's really the first time that it's ever really being done. And my father said to me after he saw the movie, he said this is exactly why we came here, was to do something like this. Because in Taiwan, we couldn't say it. We weren't allowed to say it. We were told that, he said, that's why I left. He said, they would have killed me if I'd stayed, because I have a big mouth, he said. My father was like, he was someone who was not, would not stay quiet. And that's why he came to the United States. And that's why he's, my parents have been, it's been very difficult for them, because their son, was someone who was in DC, was a Fulbright scholar, was an Ivy League grad, and everybody thought this was crazy. To become an actor and to make this movie was crazy. Everybody told them that. And I think that the fact that, people are so excited about this, it's really amazing. It's really quite amazing. And I'm so happy, particularly that the second generation is really getting on board. I think that, this is a history they still don't understand. They've heard snippets of it from their parents or from here or there. And let me tell you, it will be the second generation that will get this movie out, that will get their American friends to go see this movie. And so, so that's why we feel so strongly that we need to do this last push. that this last $1 million is just so as possible to watch it. And so, so that's why I'm here today. That's why I was in New York last week. That's why we're doing whatever it takes to get this out. Because, you know, we've all worked so hard and put in so much money and so much effort to get this done. It doesn't make any sense for no one to watch it. You know, people need to watch this movie and people need to discuss it. And in that vein, one of the things we're in discussions right now is with the Formosa Foundation, based in Los Angeles, of which I'm a board member. We're in discussions with several senators and several congressmen to do a screening in Washington, D.C. for Congress. Okay? And we're going to do this probably towards the end of June, about June 25th. And Senator Sherrod Brown, who's a Democrat from Ohio, is a big, big Taiwan supporter. He's really pushing this because he wants this movie. He wants congressmen and senators to see this movie. And so we're working with them, and we're going to put this together. I'm going to fly out the movie stars, and we're going to do a big push and get this seen. And you know, and honestly, I feel kind of bad because I feel like Bay Area's done so much for this movie already. It's hard for me to ask again once more to try. But you know, I'm asking everybody. I'm asking all our investors to put in 5,000, 10,000, whatever they can. You know, and for new investors, the minimum is 10,000. And it's, you know, like I said, this is not a donation we're asking. This is an investment. And I think people are going to be shocked when they start making money on this. I think that, you know, I think people still see this as a donation. And I think they're going to be very, very shocked when the checks start to come in, which they're going to start to come this year. Because we're going to sell this movie. You know, and like I said, the Hollywood people look at this strictly as money. You know, they are seeing money. And so I know it's an odd investment. It's not stocks, it's not bonds, it's not real estate. But frankly, those things aren't doing that well these days. You know, if anything, you know, this type of investment in some ways is safer because everybody still goes see movies. This weekend, today, there's a movie directed by a Taiwanese American, Justin Lin. Okay, it made $72 million this weekend. Okay, the first weekend. Okay, so everybody's still going to see movies, particularly when it's a down economy, because everybody's, you know, they want to be entertained, they want to escape, you know, and movies are still a cheap form of entertainment, you know. So like I said, once again, I'm asking for you to seriously consider this because I think it's a worthwhile, it's not only a worthwhile investment, but I think it's a good investment at this point because it's done. The movie's done. There's no risk that it won't be done. There's no risk that people won't like it because people do. So, you know, so that's all I can say. Are there any questions? Yes.
Yeah. Could you talk about the movie that been made in India and that won a couple Oscar? Yeah. That might be a good real relation.
It's great for us actually.
Yes.
So there was a movie called Slumdog Millionaire that was shot in India, made for about $14 million. Okay, which once again is still pretty low budget. It's twice ours, or more than twice ours. But like you know, it's $14 million, so pretty small. A year ago, that film lost its distribution, and the filmmakers thought they were going to go straight to DVD. Okay, and what happened was they got a sales agent, they got a broker, and they took it to Fox Searchlight, who picked it up, and they put it on the screen. And pretty much the rest is history. That the movie started to take off, people started to talk about the movie, and it was nominated for every award under the sun, and it won, I think, 10 Oscars, including Best Picture. Okay, And this is a movie that most people in Hollywood thought would never make any money. It's in Hindi. It's not even in English most of the time. It's like, you know, it's about a difficult subject, you know, slum children in India. You know, nobody thought, why would Americans want to go see this? You know, I get that all the time. Why would Americans want to go see a movie about Taiwan? Because they're not going to see a movie about Taiwan. They're going to go see a thriller. They're going to see a movie, you know, with James Van Der Beek or whatever. They go for whatever reason, and then it happens that it's set in Taiwan. You know, so the fact that movies like that are doing well is very good news for us. It's very good news for us. It means that, you know, that those investors, the people who made that Slumdog Millionaire, have done very, very well. You know, not only have they made their money back, they're making money. Okay, and obviously that's why what we hope to do, and what we believe can happen with this movie. You know, but once again, it's very important. You know, because if say Slumdog Millionaire had gone straight to DVD, then actually it can't be nominated for an Oscar. It can't be nominated for all those awards because, well, first of all, nobody would, you know, not as many people would see it. But also, the movie has to get a theatrical release even to be up for awards. You know, so that's why, you know, we don't want this to go straight to DVD. I could, if I wanted to right now, sell it straight to DVD and get some money for our investors right now. I could do that, actually. You know, I don't think that's a good idea because I think we wouldn't make our money back and not as many people would see it. That's why we're pushing. We're doing this last push, you know. And I have 2 months. We have 2 months until June 4th. June 4th is the last day we can raise money. So I literally, almost 2 months from today, have to have raised that $1 million. Now, it's a lot of money, but we've done it before. We've definitely done it before. It's been done. And the way I hope is that, you know, if the Bay Area, like I said, the Bay Area came up with about 1/3 of the money for the movie. If the Bay Area can do that, then again for this, and we raise the other 2/3 elsewhere, you know, and trust me, I'm not just talking to Taiwanese people. Yesterday I was on the phone with a Jewish investor in St. Louis. I had shown the movie to his son and daughter-in-law in New York. And they called their father and said, you have to see this movie, you have to invest. And he pledged $100,000. Okay, this guy is Jewish. He is not Taiwanese at all. Okay, he didn't know much about Taiwan. He knew a little bit, okay? But it's the movie that he's investing in, okay? And I'll tell you, we've raised almost $2 million just from non-Taiwanese, okay? So that shows you. These are people who are just paying tickets. These are people who are plunking down real money, you know. And why are they doing that? They obviously see this as a money-making potential. They also believe that the story needs to be told. So I feel like, you know, that's a lot. To me, it's tremendous validation that this movie has more power than we can possibly imagine. Because really, as soon as this gets out there, people, you know, people will start talking. People are already talking about it, you know, and we haven't even begun. You wait. We wait till we show it to Congress. Wait till, you know, we start releasing, because then people will really be talking about it. Now, yes?
Yeah, this director, Adam King.
Yes.
Please tell us a little about his background.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Adam is the real reason why the movie is so beautiful. He for 20 years worked as a cameraman, as a cinematographer, and he won all sorts of awards for that. He shot a TV show called Heroes, which is on NBC. He shot what's called the pilot, which means the first episode of that. And because of that, he won every award for cinematography. And because of that, they made him into a director of that show. And once you become a director, then in television, then you can go anywhere. So like, then he became a director on the show Pushing Daisies. And then it was My Own Worst Enemy. And then it was Kings. And then it was Supernatural. And then it was The Mentalist, which is the #1 show right now on television. Okay, so he's directed a lot of television. This is his first feature, okay? And Hollywood loves that story. They love when a first-time feature director does a movie, because oftentimes the first movie is their most personal movie. You know, whether it's George Lucas or Steven Spielberg or all these great directors, you go back and you look at their first movies, and that's often like the first time they were very, very personal. And Adam, Adam came onto this project almost exactly a year ago. He was my third director. And he was the one, actually, I didn't think of this, he was the one who created the character of Ming. And Ming is actually the character I play in the movie, and that's the character of Dang Wai, and he was the one who created that character. And that was because he had done the research on Taiwan. He knows Taiwan history probably better than anyone in this room, including me. He read so much. He looked up all the pictures of the Willy Tiao, of the this, of the that, and he did his best, to create a cinematic feel for the movie. He would often ask me, how close do we have to be to the actual historical event? I said, as close as possible without having to, without killing the budget. And, but he really, but he always had in his mind, the idea who this movie was for, and that's why I picked him, because he had the vision to say, okay, this movie could really affect a lot of people. Okay, so he's like, so we really got to tell it through the emotional relationships, and it's a very emotional movie, and it's the emotional relationships that really kind of glue the movie together. So I think I'm very happy that we picked him, and actually he and I are now talking about doing some other projects together. But he's going to be a very, very important director in Hollywood, I guarantee it. And I think after this movie in particular, people are going to know who he is.
今我嘛第一摆来听，我觉得我想这出电影真经有咱大家搁甲 push 一下，互会使当所有的美国的电影戏院搬。啊，你一定会足骄傲，讲你嘛曾经有付出一点啦，帮忙互全美国的人，甚至全世界的人知影台湾今仔日这个处境是安怎，咱遮尔好的一个民族，袂当入去UN，嘿。希望这个 justice 会使较紧 come true， 尤其伫即马这个境况之下，台湾强要无去啊！这出电影可能教的就是要互咱伫这个时间较紧会当互美国人知影。所以恁若有兴趣的人吼，是毋是甲恁的电话、恁的名互阮吼？大家搁较经一下，700万互伊紧出来，互伊当互伊紧广告，互较侪电影院会当来甲咱搬这出电影。吼，啊，所以你学。会使拜托你帮忙一下有纸无？啊，有电话哦。吉娜嘛是足 support， 伊的妈妈就是阮北美洲台湾妇女会永远的阿嬷。因妈妈吼，在生20-30年，就是我上好的 model， 到80几岁，永远干那就是想讲要爱互台湾啥。伊的 dream 就是爱互台湾较早日。成一个世界公认自由民主的国家，真骄傲安尼。所以因妈妈，我会弄会馆，我想因妈妈嘛是我足好的 symbol。伊永远都是干那想讲，要安怎来共放瑞子钱，来为台湾做代志安尼。大概我若出来去，因迄阵5个姊兄弟姊妹拢无闲伫替妈妈伫做事业。因拢甲妈妈寄互我参加妇女会，因妈妈若上飞机，都一直做手工艺，啊要互我去妇女会替义卖，啊钱就会使做搁较济为台湾做代志安尼。我就讲我若食了会当像因妈妈安尼，永远就想讲要来创啥，互大家欢喜，这就是咱弄台湾会馆的目的。只要若一岁半以上，我后摆甲古早共款的弄，儿童亲子音乐班啦，即种一岁半以后，妈妈甲囡仔来遮。按音乐啦，大家 get together， 啊，甲你要去天堂以前，咱拢要甲恁服务。啊，搁上重要就是咱有伫即个家人教会，即个大家庭内底，互大家伫上好的环境内底，来做上好的事工安尼。啊，搁有牧师、苏牧师嘛伫遮，吼，这就是， 恁若有啥物，咱这就是咱大家人的公厝 ，anytime 欢迎大家来遮行搭，吼，啊有茶有咖啡，啊有真好的节目。后摆我头拄有甲你讲，咱后摆有迄个电视，甲台湾同步进行的电视，恁拢会使来遮俏谈，来遮开讲，来遮你若感觉讲爱阮开啥物节目，会当互恁会爱来，甲阮讲，阮就来找好的老师，啊来开遮个节目。啊，迄个孙牧师嘛是即马长青学院遮的校长。伊嘛甲阮问看讲，咱要来合作啥？会当互大家爱来遮，感觉伫遮真有趣味，啊，搁互咱的生活真多彩安尼吼。来，苏牧师，互大家捌一下，好，就咱长青学院高铁苏牧师甲咱介绍下。
大礼拜咱
孙，
每一个拜六拢是10点开始到下晡时2点，有长青学院有真精彩的迄个课程吼。这学生，阮目前有40几个吼，要到50个，拢真认真，真欢喜来参加这个聚会吼。所以慢着安尼伫以后，我即摆佫加今年佫新的功课就是有电脑，有电脑设伫遐咧，即阵老人因真爱看电脑，对遐来看到台湾侪的消息。这是今年真新的课程吼。佫有内底当然有足侪真专家，美国迄个咱的台湾的医生来遮，佫读册，佫伫遮咧工作，拢即马有诶退休诶，佫是继续伫遐咧教示遮个长辈，变做真少年吼，所以这是真欢喜。但是以后，阮还佫有迄个卡拉 OK， 还是电视互相即个节目诶中间，遮互相配合，甲台湾会馆，甲有长辈会，阮还佫有一个长辈600几人个吼，会当伫遐配合来处理遮个代志。所以伫整个的台湾人，拢会通伫即个所在找到因所爱，会伫遐看到咱台湾，真正徛起来，真正是自由一个民主的一个国家，这是咱最要紧的目的，真正咧做的代志吼。多谢恁大家退祈祷甲斗支持，多谢。
查某囝姊呐来甲咱讲一寡伊嘛足帮忙，互即个电影会当 come true 的。来，姊呐。
讲到妈妈吼，我讲我有表的妈妈啦。阮爸爸40岁才生迄个宝贝。妈妈是足烦恼。讲你吼去交囡仔，甲台湾人摕遮济钱哦，你电影若拍了无吼？会互台湾人骂啊！中国人会晓死啦，叫伊着忙去啉迄个《世界日报》的水啦，坐以后爱看后壁人要大好死着。所以吼，伊妈妈是足加烦恼，烦恼尾伊妈妈讲无要带伊去拜拜一下，就去抽一支签啦。迄支签吼，叫妈妈免烦恼伊会当做成功即个代志，这是真的故事所以妈妈甲我咧讲，无家己遐甲紧啦。我妈妈是足烦恼用单时啦，用头时啦。拄仔一摆带去《世界日报》访问吼，本来是三罗线无去报足大片嘛，《世界日报》就来找。妈妈讲毋捌去啦，拢来啦，妈妈去哦，问恁你的水呢，到底是偌安尼是水来？我你去做你我好死嘞！但是哦，伊迄《世界日报》记者甲访问了，讲即个囡仔有够天才，甲秃头会家买香布来洗头。会家买香布，就是讲伊的毅力足强啦吼。哎呀，你100万栋咧，我就想害人袂成啊！我搁拼200万呢，200万搁栋咧，我想我搁袂成啊！我300万跟真正拼较成功，就选美国嘛，走几啊百个所在，不管啥物所在伊就去。所以伊的毅力，你看台湾人会当赚遮侪钱，无遐简单。总算，电影你来看迄个电影，有人去贴迄个 poster 吼，迄是一个演员，伊毋敢演啦，伊惊中国人来报仇，拍到遐无得演，听咧无包单。
Oh yeah. So our biggest scene was the big protest scene that we call it our Kaohsiung scene. It was modeled on the Willy Tiao, and so we had hired a Thai actor who was of Chinese descent, And in the audition, he said democracy and human rights in Chinese, so we hired him because he looked the part and whatever. On the day of shooting, we said, we want you to say independence. And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. I got a call, once again, from my director saying, this guy won't say independence. I'm like, what do you mean he won't say it? He's like, he won't say it. He's scared. Yeah, he's scared for whatever reason, but he just wouldn't say it. So I said, fire him. And so we did. We fired him. And we got very lucky. At the same time, the DPP, Minjingdang, was doing, they had a tour going on in Bangkok, in Thailand. And we had our Taiwan producer, Echo Lin, who used to work for FAPA. Echo had been in touch with them, bringing them to get more Taiwanese to come to this scene. And she found this kid. I don't even know his real name. I know it's Danny is his English name, but he's like a young Minjingdang, like he's the real thing. And so we grabbed him and we made him the protest leader. And he's not an actor. He's not an actor. And he just started to go, and do his, say, and we threw him in, to the fire, and he was great. It was great, But yeah, I mean, I don't talk about this much, but
Your mom told me.
I'm just saying we didn't call the movie Formosa Betrayed in Bangkok, in Thailand, because we didn't want any problems. So we actually called the movie another name in Bangkok. We were, we knew that people were watching us. We knew that was happening. We knew that there was going to be a lot of issues. So we did everything. I did everything I could to make my crew safe, because we just didn't know what might happen, And like I said, things did happen, but we were able to control it. But the movie in Thailand is they think it's called Where Sleeping Dogs Lie. That's the name of the movie originally when we shot the movie, And so sometimes people would see Formosa Betrayed, they'd be like, "Oh, what's that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's nothing. don't bother with that." Because that was that's why actually we had some people who wanted to come to Thailand and we said no, because we didn't want any. We didn't want anybody's safety being jeopardized, but we did it, we got through it, and like I said, now the movie's done. There's not much anybody can do now, and regardless of what happens to me or whatever now, it's like, movie's done, it's gonna go out, so that's the key is,
所以困难重重吼，也无互关系吼，电影拍出来吼。今仔日咱阁有1000万叫人拍电影，有的人唔敢拍，这有惊死搁好大吼。228迄日足侪人去看，阮都有去看。大家吼，这查某妈妈吼甲恁两粒目睭吼，转好者吼甲面拢肿起来，拢唔敢看。第2代也开始吼，我你看无？你是咧吼啥？你看到迄个6岁查囡仔用大事，阮逐个开始看。所以今仔即个电影，咱台湾人会当讲话，毋是会讲，无讲。到回去较700万人，较差700万。咱逐个手法斗下去，困难重重，但是小哥逐个斗头，我都捡大钱来洗掉。你敢讲我有朋友吼，用厝去借钱来家用，后人驶一个破车，定停咧，伊嘛去用都卖无出来。想讲是动力，毋知讲是投资咧。
咱这勇敢的台湾人，罗财信嘛是。
最近趁钱的是第一个有罗财信的新车。
行安尼来遮吼，罗财信，这是阮台湾人号称勇敢的台湾人，我上尊敬。
反正我互你害到你，这么手也袂挂你啊！讲要去倒表演。荷兰达吼，我即马头毛也袂刮，手也袂刮，要做老蚵仔啦，安尼敢有成啊？
一次啦，1点仔互伊看。来。
头是站着啦，哦，啊，迄个阮囝咧，阮囝走倒去啊，无啦，阮囝来问我，来了，这个。我偷听人家，是我在讲，吵，你们吵什么吵？我们选这么好的总统跟你们做，我们选出这么好的东西跟你们做总统，你们还啰嗦。虽然这个东西很笨啊，什么事儿也干不好，但是呢，他是我们花了好多的钱，才买了700多万张票才选出来的哟。好了，这些钱呢不是我们的钱，是台湾人民的钱，是国家的钱，所以说没有关系。啊，他给他们我钱。咱头前两句是炒面煮面啦吼。炒面煮面，糯米蛋的口味，豆花。头来黑白车加嘴，咸菜面鸡青藤林家是一头花，千里扎，红灯花灯头，地心哦呀地，马拉个逼。台湾的老朋友啊，好大其实哦，我初听迄个听的来搞找我的时阵，我换当担啊，因为我钱赚无济啦，吼，我常就捡一个1股2万几块咧，接落啦，就是讲讲，因为伊有这个心，咱表现有这个心，吼，咱无出一寡力，我嘛算我嘛讲袂去就对啦，我希望大家有啦，尽量啦，我尽量啦，我安尼接来了，我嘛。讲一下，反正我今嘛还袂扛到转来咧。哦，希望台湾尽量就对啦吼。好，安尼对。
因为我来讲几句啊，因为one of the investors 吼。安尼哦，呵。我想自告奋勇吼，讲我投资啦吼。真正这片吼，真正我就有信心的啦。所以咱头先讲咱有正义的眼光来讲，咱是真正足热心吼。但是若讲用投资的眼光来讲吼，我感觉这片真正有迄个 Oscar 的 quality， 真正系 I'm really very confident。所以吼，会当 release 出去了吼。有迄个足大可能吼，会去互 nominate 迄个买 Oscar。啊，若伊等 nominate give个 Oscar， 你讲莫阁得奖吼，敢若 nominate 就好啊。迄个票房迄个足好。所以吼，你若讲用投资的感觉，吼，这嘛是足好的一个投资啦。吼，我想迄个用 emotional， 咱达到迄个咱当然绝对的心啦吼。啊，若讲用迄个 financial 的眼光来看是吼，这是一个足够的 choice。这个时间是较高的。
叫无了，所以大家慢慢啊等。
You mentioned that you need $10,000 to, for investment. How about if we get somebody that can fund people? Yeah.
Yes, people have done that. It can get very complicated, as some people will tell you. I mean, it's definitely been done. Obviously, we just look at whoever's the lead person, and we take that person's investment, So as a company, we look at one person, but definitely it's been done.
So that's one share?
It would be one share, yeah. And then it's $1,000 increments, So like you could invest 13,000 or 17,000, it's 10,000 is the minimum for new investors.
我嘛有甲几个朋友吼，就安尼招呼我的好朋友，阮安尼几个人合做一个安尼招，就是私下家己互相信任的过朋友的安尼，就讲有的人就讲，黄美欣，我甲你合安尼吼，咱大家互相拢信任安尼吼，你知影讲，我若趁，伊若甲我讲，才有趁钱啊吼，我就甲你分咧，伊若互我1万块，咱就一人阮有5个人合咧，就一人20%，你安尼合咧，阮嘛有安尼私下甲你好朋友合。
其实讲若趁钱吼，关到会馆拜托。
我无呢。
趁钱吼，美心中人拍出来。
之前我当初伊3年前吼，伊去妇女会，迄阵去 Houston 的时阵吼，去的时阵我讲迄无可能的代志啦。哪有咧台湾人哪有才调去好莱坞拍一出电影拢几啊千万的吼，所以我吼去甲影着，我就甲看嘛，我甲看就转来。佮到尾第2摆，伊来咱遮第1摆，孙宪祥甲我敲去会馆的理事长陈德辉嘛，咱教会吼。陈德辉先生因的公司吼，我嘛看一半，我就甲张先生来转来，迄无可能的代志。到尾伊的面烂吼，伊安尼来旧金山几摆，我本来想讲，阮查某囝格罗利亚吼，伊的台湾名叫做台湾人，叫做格罗利亚台湾人。我想讲，迄个上小啊，甲妈妈共款吼，只要台湾有选举，拢甲我转去的吼。我讲哇哦，有一个查甫母比阮查某囝搁较爱台湾，阮查某囝是台湾鸡愈叫，这台湾鸡饭桶，竟然比阮女儿搁较爱台湾，硬要甲这出戏拍出来。一个甲人敲电话互我讲，阮查某囝逐日敲，伊比阮查某囝敲搁较济，我实在互伊感动着，所以我就爱同乡会面单安尼一个摕出来甲恁敲，我想遮逐个人拢有互我敲着。介绍影嘛，互我乱几啊摆，到尾大家接到我的电话，哎呦，黄美心，咱搁卡。Anyway， 这出电影实在是伊的迄种疼台湾的心，互我足感动。台湾人若有真济人安尼，咱今仔会免较艰苦。迄就是阮做了还无够，才会安尼。所以爱搁加油，一定要学这出电影。就阮昨暗拄啊好，阮女儿就做即出头仔有你讲的一个印第安的迄个电影，即马摕到上济迄个得奖，拄啊好伊昨暗做即出电影互我看，我就讲毋免惊啦，咱即出比即出搁较赞啦，叫做啥物事咱搞。拢讲印度啊话的电影呢，咱即出比的，我有去看2摆，阮就坐红地毯去看即出电影。我讲我想我即世人嘛，敢若即摆安尼会当安尼看，去好莱坞看咱家己人拍的电影安尼吼，足骄傲。头拄内底吼有我，你啊我，test 咧就我，第一日拍电影就去迄落。去 Northwestern University 的迄个 church 头前，差不多遮的3、4月长吼，按6点半行到1点哦，敢若2摆去尿尿尔吼，一行去，我就是喊，我头啊喊讲，打倒国民党，拍倒国民党，我若莫放英语，伊就听无啦。我听去转 ，no no no。今年拍6点钟。
出来几分钟？30秒无？
我2秒，你哪可能无看到我？所以我本来我的明星哦，应该
一秒讲几百万呢？
我是家己买机票，家己去遐住，吼，拢家己哦。我有看拍电影了吼，差不多1、200个学生，因拢 那几阵的学生去做临时演员，去遐领100块、200块，我想几啊摆讲，我嘛要来领，我都无领。因为拢有工会嘛，1点一定爱结束，就是1点，袂使超过时间，所以伊拢无要互你浪费时间，一直行过去，搁行倒转来。你看我安尼行，安尼爱行5、6点钟哦。你讲咱台湾人要搁安尼哦，积钱要去拍一出好莱坞电影，真的无简单。对。